What's going on, podcasters, YouTubers? My name is B, and I'm going to be your host tonight for the Real Fan Review. So, no Hav tonight, as we are all in the midst of busy stuff at this time. Hav does his thing. I've got school. Sanj is, my gosh, Sanj has his
Working.
manager stuff. He's in school too. Oh my goodness! And so, Al, what are you doing? What do you
Yep.
got?
Working, kids.
Ooh, gosh,
Health.
geez. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that. Keep good health. Keep good health.
Yeah.
So we apologize that some of us have not been around lately, or some of us have been missing. Like life just keeps coming at you, and so we are trying to make sure that we deliver this content to you in the best way that we can, and with the same passion and dedication that we've always been doing it for you. So we hope you enjoyed tonight with just me and Al, which is our man in the chair.
Yeah.
And so tonight we might have a little bit of a brief one, but tonight is a night of finales, and not a finale for us,
Yeah.
but a finale for other shows. And so we have a couple things. We're going to talk about She-Hulk, the finale of She-Hulk, and we're going to talk about not the finale of House of the Dragon, but the penultimate episode 9, which did not disappoint. And then, in the really, really quick news, we did just get the trailer for Creed 3 tonight. And so I figure let's talk about Creed 3 because, it's a franchise that we have all loved. And so we'll jump right in with that with Creed 3. And so I'll say, Al, you know, I was not looking forward to this movie. And I think we had talked about this on a previous podcast that,
Mhm.
like, I felt like Creed 1 and 2 it did its thing and like there was no more story left to tell. And obviously this is Hollywood. We can always find stories to tell whether we force it on people or not. But I felt like the series that they had with Creed 1 and Creed 2, I thought was perfect and I didn't want to see anything past Creed 2. I thought it was the nice bow, to tie this all up. But we got three, we were told Creed 3, and Creed 3 was featuring Jonathan Majors, who is our Kang. And
Mhm.
so we saw pictures the last couple weeks of him in the role for Creed 3, and dude's looking big. I'm a little worried for Paul Rudd and Ant-Man. And so we got the trailer, and it looks like this is going to be the story of his upbringing with a
Mhm.
childhood friend who went to jail, who felt like this was the life he should have had.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the trailer was conflict between, his own emotions, Creed's own emotions, and
Mhm.
his history, and then kind of his friend Damien and his belief that he deserves better and he's going to fight for better. And so how these two come to a head at the end is going to be interesting. I feel like this is one of those movies that, and I guess this is Ryan Coogler as well, right?
I think so. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
he's doing this one as well. Yep.
So there's just something about Ryan Coogler that he knows how to take stories, intertwine it with art, and intertwine it with like history, and he
Mhm.
just puts it all together well. Like it seems like this movie's going to be part flashbacks with emotional trauma and the dealing of it and the reconciliation about it, and it seems
Yeah.
pretty interesting. And like I'm pumped now.
Yeah.
This-
Yeah. And not. Yeah. It kind of scared me at first because like they keep trying to do almost like a little bit of a beat for beat with the original Rocky movies.
yeah,
So I was like, all right, is this supposed to be like the modern version of Mr. T's character and so forth?
the
But
was it Clubber
yeah,
Lang, right?
yeah, yeah. But I like that they made it that it's more of a personal vendetta. Like
Yeah,
like you said, this guy goes to jail. Like he says in the clip, I'm watching their 18 years in jail, seeing another man live the life that was meant for me. So it's gonna be, and you have two good actors, so I
hmm
like the level that seems to be brought to this movie. Um and and I like that they're making it so that he has the support of the wife now, because in there
yeah.
you see her talking to him, and instead of saying, like they used to have in the old movies, like, "Oh no, you can't win," and all this and that,
You
like
can't do this.
she's
You're gonna
back.
get hurt.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes it about like just overcoming whatever issues they have between them instead of it making like this whole he's him against the world again. Like you can't keep beating that drum in these movies. So I like that they found another dimension to make it more of a personal conflict between them, and that's it.
Yeah.
He has his side and he still has his support system. So that looks like it's going to be a
And
good
I,
movie.
I love that, because you're right. Like Adrian was like an issue in all Rocky movies. She was like, stop fighting Rocky. And so
Yeah,
here you have, his wife. I forget who her character name. I don't know if it was Nessa or not. Um,
yeah.
and I forget, but you know, the first couple Creed movies, she was very negligent to him doing this, kind of like Adrian. But towards the
Mhm,
middle of the second movie, she was like, "No, no, you got to do this for you and your family." And so it seems like she's all in this movie, and so that
mhm,
takes away part of like a conflict that he has to resort back to taking care of his family instead of fighting. So now it seems like this movie, he is focused on the fight. Let me get
mhm.
prepared for this fight because what it's going to mean. And so I guess we'll get the backstory to that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I am pumped now. I think this is going to be a great send off. I hope a send off for this franchise because I don't need six. I just,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
No.
you're pushing it with three, but I'll take three. So I'm hoping that this is it for this franchise, and if it stands to test with the other two, then this is going to be incredible, and I can't wait. What's
Yeah.
your thought, Al?
Yeah. No. Same thing. I mean, they've already addressed everything. The first one addressed him dealing with his father's legacy and coming into being a man of his own. The second one dealt with, the Dolph Lundgren's character. I forgot. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on that
Ivan
guy's name?
Drago.
Drago, and then that conflict. So they've addressed the two big storylines of Creed's father and the Rocky series. So now this one is just him, like
Yeah.
his backstory and him dealing with his personal story. So after that, I don't like what's left in the well to go in, to go
It's
after.
gonna be like a
So
brother that we didn't know about. Like,
yeah, so I agree. Like let this be it looks like it's a good one. Go out on top with a real strong finish and then let this be the end of the franchise.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this is the
Yeah.
set off. I think this is the send off for this. So I
Yeah.
hope you guys are looking forward to Creed 3 as much as we are. Because I think this is gonna be a great movie of this. Is it coming out this year? Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great movie of the year. Then I can't wait for that. Um,
Yeah, let me see Creed 3.
Man in the chair work right now.
Oh, no, next year, March 3rd.
Next year, March. Well, fuck it. That's gonna be a great movie for March then. And I guess that works out because Ant Man comes out, I think, in February. So Jonathan
Mhm.
Majors, you get to have in your face for a lot
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah. He's gonna have a big year, yeah.
So he's gonna have a big year. He's got to be nominated for something in the next year's Oscars. Oh my gosh!
No,
So
hopefully.
with that, we're gonna hopefully we'll move on to She-Hulk episode 8, the finale. And I gotta say, Al, I don't, I don't know. To me, this series could have been good, and I don't think it's not good, but it just seemed
Mhm.
like a series that ran out of time. And we'll talk about this episode. I just felt like what they did in the second half of this episode just took me out of everything.
Yeah.
And it almost made it not worth it for me. And it just, I started putting threads together, and it just seemed like this show, in its state of trying to be a sitcom, just retconned itself. A lot of
Yeah.
conning. So it just seems like a show that didn't exist. And what's the point of a season two, in my sense? What are your thoughts,
Mm.
Al?
Yeah, it almost felt like they didn't have an ending, so they just threw everything together and then used her breaking the fourth wall to justify it. I mean, you had um Titania back in here. You had the I mean, you had everything in here. Hulk versus
Abomination Hominy,
Abomination.
yeah.
I mean, you had everything, but none of it made sense. And the only thing they could do was the fourth wall, and to me, breaking the fourth wall is good when you're going to just throw like a one-off
Yeah, like a
joke,
character
or
trait.
yeah, or like a comment back towards the audience to make them aware of something that maybe not every person watching the movie would be aware of, and only diehard fans. But you get everybody in it and involved by breaking the fourth wall. Like this, like completely destroyed the fourth wall. Like they even
They
did that scene where
physically
she's
shattered the fourth
yeah,
wall.
you have her breaking the logo on what was supposed to be like the Disney Plus, navigation, and then she's going to. I mean, out of control. Like I liked what they were doing up until now to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like in some of the episodes, you could tell it was meant for a different audience, and it was it took me out of it sometimes. But I still enjoyed what they were presenting as a product.
Yeah.
This one, I almost like didn't like. I mean, it felt almost like they were treating the ending like a joke. Like you hear,
Yeah.
like when she's talking to that Kevin robot or the AI, and she's like, "Oh, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we do it that way? And what about the X-Men and this and that?" Like, I mean, it felt like they were just throwing everything that anybody's
Everything.
ever want, and it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense for the story. It made sense for what they were giving us. So I wouldn't say it was out of character for the series, but it just like it gave no ending. I felt like there was no
It was just
resolution.
a waste. Especially the way
Yeah,
we ended
and
off the last episode.
yeah, yeah. Like you do this whole lead up, and maybe that's why there were so few scenes detailing like what the story arc was, because there was no arc. I
It's
mean,
very apparent now that there was no arc.
yeah, you have us build up about this whole intelligentsia. Why do they want her blood and this and that, and then you give it to us, and then it becomes a joke because she goes, "Oh, is that really the ending we're doing?" And then it just goes to shit after that.
Yeah.
All
Like
right, how does
so fans, just so you know this episode, because I don't even want to go through it. We're gonna summarize
yeah,
it for you and just talk about it because we pick up from where we left off last week with Jen Walters now reconciling after her rage out incident. And then from there we initially just start going bonkers because then we get the Savage Hulk and all these things. And, we just instantly start breaking these fourth walls in this episode as Jen tries to get over all of the things that happened to her and the embarrassment and just kind of dealing with the situation. She ends up going to the retreat to see the abomination, and it turns out the abomination is holding the event for intelligentsia, ironically. So it looks like Abomination's the villain again, and it was just a
yeah,
play. He just tends to have events, and
yeah.
so
As a
just
he's a motivational speaker.
he's a motivational speaker. He just does events. Sorry, and so he's a good guy. And but then it turns out that Todd, the lame date from all of these episodes, who we knew was the bad guy, turns out he is intelligentsia. It's
Mhm.
not the leader. It's not anything bigger than we think. It's just Todd, and he hired. What was the name? Joe, right?
Josh.
Josh. He hired Josh to get her blood. So not only did he take the video of Jen and him sleeping together, but then somehow in that time frame of him taking a video and doing all this stuff, he also took her blood. And so Todd becomes Hulk King. And
Literally, yeah.
literally Hulk King, and they beat him, and that's it, right? And we're like, what? But then the episode doesn't just end. Jen acknowledges that this just can't be the end of the episode, and things just start randomly happening. And then Jen completely shatters the fourth wall, enters Disney Plus, enters Marvel, starts breaking things within Marvel, and then is then met by Kevin, the Marvel AI, who produces all of these shows. Knock knock, Kevin Feige or Feige,
Yeah, yeah.
little joke there, and she just banters for the rest of the episode with this Kevin robot about why things have to be the way they are, making a joke about every Marvel trope that ever existed in these movies, and then the
Mhm.
episode just ends, and then obviously we get a little end credit scene that we'll talk about that just kind of seemed like a throwaway, but I mean realistically, like there's nothing to talk about because there was no development.
Hmm.
There literally was. If we had ended the season with the last episode, I would have been fine with it, and we picked up
Yeah.
with it, just being like, "Oh, how did this event turn out?" You know, like I would have
Yeah.
been fine with that. But it seemed that there was no connecting threads to any of this. That there was no point to any of this season. You know,
Yeah.
like other than Jen Walters becoming okay and accepting of the fact that she is She Hulk and she could be a hero.
Hmm.
What else came out from this season? Like
I don't
there
know.
was no point to anything.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like if they had ended this season last week, then you could have played out the next season dealing with the fallout. Like, whereas instead you get a rushed, like the first few minutes of this episode, like you said, it starts off, you have everybody come in, she's in the cage that Abomination was in. She gets let out because she now has to wear an inhibitor. She's lost her job. She has to move back in with her parents. They deal with all of that in like the first few minutes.
Yeah, it's five
Whereas that
minutes.
yeah, whereas that could have all been like her dealing with the fallout could over the first, you know, s- half of a new season,
Yeah,
you know, and you could have had her deal with that fallout and that effect on her life. Instead, we get it rushed, and then from there, she's just like I said. It just felt like they were just saying stuff because they knew people wanted to hear it. They wanted to give us hints that movies were coming. They wanted to give us hints as to that she was going to be in a movie, and how, and then making fun of the fact that they have all of these fixed ways that they make these movies, like all these beats have to be met in order for the blueprint that they use for their movies to be, satisfied. And I get it. You're making them, there's a lot of self humor, the self, being making fun of themselves. She goes into the office and the guy is having her sign an NDA.
yeah.
Meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I like the fact that they made fun of themselves, but
It just went on too long.
yeah, they did it in a way that to me destroyed the episode.
Yeah,
Like,
like this could have
it
been like a
just took
Marvel
away.
short, like a little thing they just
Yeah,
gave us on Disney Plus. There was
yeah.
no need
Or
to
it could
do
have been
this.
the
Yeah,
after. It could have been the after credit. Like,
yeah,
give us the bloopers or something like that. And then they do another thing where they rush at the end and they wrap everything up
yeah.
at the end.
At the last 3 minutes of the episode,
Mhm,
and it was crazy to me because like I felt like this was a show that could have gone somewhere,
mhm,
but the writing was just bad. Like when everything is all said and done, like I could see them building episode after episode to get to this point. Like, Captain and the Winter Soldier, it took a while to get you to the finale. Even though it was 6 episodes, they built out every episode to finally make sense on the finale. It was a great show,
mhm,
and so they have this theme now of kind of like Lost, where they were like building new questions and situations and plot threads to get you to this point. And that's been a lot
mhm,
of the Disney Plus Marvel series, is building upon everything. WandaVision, every week was a question, Mephisto this or that, or what are we doing? Who's the real villain? To get to the last episode, we're like, oh, okay, very cool. And like now it's just kind of seeming like there was no there was no story to this show.
yeah, yeah. There's no there's no arc. Like WandaVision had the arc of Wanda going from being in complete mourning to the point where she created this town and was controlling the people to do what she wanted so that she could live out an imaginary life. And then at the end, you see her realize that how wrong she was, and try to make up for that. There's the arc.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's the whole arc of, what's Sam not wanting to be Captain America, and the whole dynamic between him and Winter Soldier, and culminating in him becoming Captain America and a strong bond developing between him and Bucky.
Yeah.
So you see that story development. Almost every show had, even Loki. You start off in Loki, it's the carefree version that left the MCU with the uh oh what's the oh Jesus, the blue one. He had the oh wasn't that the Power Stone?
Oh, the Space
Whatever.
Stone.
Yeah. So you show him as the carefree evil Loki there, and then by the end of the series, he's the good Loki again. You see his arc in terms of his development. I don't really feel that there was a development for She-Hulk in her show.
No, and I feel like they
Just a
accomplished
little bit,
it in like 6 episodes.
yeah. And really, the whole arc that you could say was she went from not wanting to be She-Hulk to I still don't feel like she wanted to be She-Hulk.
No,
Because like there was no heroic moment for her.
no,
Like there
really
was no
wasn't.
moment where she had to step in. Yeah. So this show really feels like it was just more of a setup for everything else that they were looking to bring in. It brought in Daredevil. It's alluding to a Hulk movie with Mark Garofalo, whatever
Ruffalo.
his name is. Yeah, Ruffalo and Scar now. With spoiler for the ending. So it's really just more introducing other stuff than having dealt with She-Hulk
And
herself.
that's something you and I both hate, is
Yeah.
like things that the only purpose they serve is to introduce other things to set up the future. And it's like you
Mhm.
have a character in front of you that you can build, but you wasted the potential of this character and the message. Really, this was a message of strong women, and
Mhm.
building of a strong woman, and
Mhm.
the acceptance and confidence building that you could have. And they threw it away to make jokes, to then lead into this storyline of intelligentsia being about scandal and her sex tape. Like, how counterintuitive or counterproductive, like
Yeah.
I understand, revisiting the concept, the power that the sex tape has in female culture, and how that's been a big deal and how that could be a very strong thing, and
Mhm.
I thought, okay, now that I understand the concept, like where are they going to go from it from here, and to just like throw it away in the first 5 minutes, it was a waste. And so they took
Yeah.
this episode to not only build on Abomination, to build on the Hulk, to build on this new sun. They did nothing to build. Oh, even Daredevil, when he jumped out of the sky and landed in the park in broad daylight,
Yeah.
out of
But that was
nowhere. Yeah,
that one was a funny part because
th-
that's what that came from when she spoke to Kevin and she goes,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, can you bring Daredevil back? Because the girl got needs."
Yeah,
That part I thought was
I thought that was funny too, but it was just like funny. Like it's the broad daylight. What are we doing? Like we can't just bring
yeah. He
Daredevil like that.
he
Like
literally
left,
fell out the sky.
literally fell
Yeah.
out of the sky. And so, like we even advanced Daredevil because he gets to be a part of Jen Walters' story at the end, and then
Hmm.
we get nothing for Jen Walters. We don't even know if she's getting a season 2 or anything to allude for her future as She-Hulk. Like this show
Hmm.
ended with no threat, like nothing really for her to look forward to for an upcoming season. We could have
Yeah.
ended She-Hulk right here, apparently.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah. So the only thing we really get left with is Hulk gets a movie. Maybe she's in it. Maybe she's in Daredevil Reborn. Maybe she's in something.
Maybe
You know.
she's in something. Yeah, that's exactly
Mm.
it. And so that leads us to the last part of this, which got me a little upset, is we resolve this Hulk storyline in some way, shape, or form. That Hulk shows up to Jen Walters' barbecue, very Fast and Furious style barbecue, by the way.
That's what I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole
Even showed up
family.
in a white T-shirt. Yeah.
He
Even
did. He
showed up in a
did.
white beater.
And he showed up and he's like, "Oh, hey everybody, this is my son, Scar." I'm like, "What?"
But did Scar look like he wanted to cry?
Did
Like
Scarlet wanted
I
to
felt sorry.
cry? Scar looked like one of those kids who got the worst haircut I've ever seen in my life. Why his hair? Why his hair start back here? Like you got missing hairline, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's depressing. But
Oh man.
it just, and that's the other thing is like, was there a need to do it? Could we have just known that the Hulk is off doing something, and then that lead into something for us down the line that we have to come back with, like, oh, by the way, here's my son. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And so while I'm excited that there is a continuation for the Hulk, it almost seems as if they were doing one of two things. Either telling us there is a possibility now for another Hulk movie or Hulk show, possibility, because given their trusting in the Hulk, I don't even know if they're going to do it. But
Hmm.
now with Scar, Phase 4 is all about family, apparently. And so we now have the makings for a potential Young Avengers team with their own version of a Hulk.
Yeah, because all the characters are now brought into the MCU now, right?
Yep, they're all
All the
here. I mean, technically, there was never like a Hulkling or a young Hulk in the Young Avengers, but now you have the potential. He looks pretty young, so. And realistically, if you know the comics, Scar can actually transform, and he is a kid. So
oh okay.
it's the makings now for a Young Avengers team to have a Hulk, which is like, are they going to go down this route, or are they going to go down this route, or both? And now it's just like, all right, well, I'd love to see whatever they do, but I feel bad for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So, folks, if I was going to rate this season, I would say this season is like mid. I'd give this season like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because I know people are saying how great it is, but it had the potential to be, like an 8. It had the potential to be pretty good, but this last episode really brought it down for me.
Yeah. And the only reason I would even stick around for a season two, it has nothing to do with the story. It's really the actors.
Yeah,
Like Tatiana Maslany
she's
I think she did a
incredible.
great job, and the supporting cast around her, I think, did a real good job. So I really would only want to come back to see what they're given to do and what they do with it. But in terms of like a story, there's no cliffhanger for me to come back and see how
No,
they resolve it. There's no questions that never got answered that, oh, maybe they'll answer it in season two. There's nothing like this. So
no. It literally
yeah.
just ended. And so that sucks, because I agree. Tatiana Maslany, she's incredible. I think
Hmm.
that she's so good for what she was given. And I feel like they have a lot of wrongs to right by giving her a second season, because there was
Yeah.
so much potential here, and especially given that we know that the leader is going to be a villain, at least in the Captain America movie, and Intelligentsia is his organization. And so that's another Hulk villain. And a show about building the Hulk universe, we didn't use him. Like he wasn't even name dropped for Todd as a benefactor or anything like that. Like, like it just, I was like, it was such a waste.
Hmm.
I was very disappointed. And I for Titania Maslany, I would say please give her a season 2 and give her a story to work with, because this was a mess and she
Yeah.
deserved better.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
fans, let us know, what you guys thought of She-Hulk in the comments on YouTube or on the podcast if you can, and tell us what are your thoughts on She-Hulk this season overall, or any takes from this finale episode. Because, like me, I'm hoping that we get a season 2 to right the wrongs of this season. There were so many threads they could have had, especially with her best friend, who looked like she could have been a witch or part of a coven, given certain things, with Agatha's show coming up. I felt like there was so much. So
Yeah.
you guys let us know what you thought. And
Hmm.
with that, we'll segue to one of our favorites now, is Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, episode 9. And
Wow.
so this episode, god damn, like this is a far, far removal, everybody. If you never watched Game of Thrones, this is a far removal from our previous episode 9s. Episode 9 is usually some kind of battle, war, conflict, something bloody. Someone usually dies, someone gets it. Like think about it, Ned Stark got his head taken off in episode 9. Like that's how we started the series with episode 9. And
Mhm.
so to keep going from that point, every episode 9 just being something, it was very different to have this episode 9, us Game of Thrones fans looking into it like, yo, what's gonna go down? And while it didn't go down the way we thought, it fucking went down. So, Al, I'll jump to you with this. What was your thoughts on just the overall episode here?
I thought like this was what I wanted to see from Game of Thrones and House of Dragon, like just the true politics, the maneuvering, the scheming that everybody does in order to get their goals and their what they want. And so to watch the High Towers take over, I mean, and everybody, and sadly, it's just because they didn't want a wo it seems to me, just because they didn't want a woman to take the throne. Because, if he's saying, "I want my daughter to be queen," to have all of those behind the scenes plotting that it turns out was taking place to the point where even the queen didn't know,
Yeah.
because even she has it, like, when they say, okay, when they, have that little council and they find out that the king is dead and they're like, all right, so now we have his blessing to put our plan in action. She goes, what plan? Like even she's looking around and saying,
Like, shit, y'all have been doing this behind my back. And like, yep.
yeah, yeah, because of her father, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I couldn't. Yeah, the father had this all going to the point where even she had to realize, like, you're not the man I thought you were. Like,
Yeah.
and
And that was a
yeah, so
beautiful setup for the rest of this episode. Let me tell you, that was
mhm.
great. Um,
Yeah, because even they, and that's what I'm talking about. Like all the scheming to the point where even her and the father were going at, and not as violently as everything else, but when they find out that, oh, where's Aegon? And now the search becomes to look for
who gets
Aegon.
Aegon first?
Yeah, yeah. Like she sends the two twins, and he sends Cole and Aegon and
Aemon.
Aemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yo, it's even within the family as in terms of like
That's crazy. That was nuts.
scheming. Yeah, kid. I was like, wow. But this is what I wanted from the show. Like the who's gonna get over on who, what's
Yeah.
the politics behind the decisions, who's gonna scheme with who's, and I'm just gonna say that I didn't see that the dynamic
Yeah.
between the king, the queen, and the
Laris.
bro. Oh, kid, I did not see that coming. And
Oh, you didn't see him coming?
no, I mean, none of us saw it. Yeah, but when she took off her shoes, I'm like, what?
I did
I'm like,
the
no,
same thing.
no. I'm like, no.
I was like, she's just getting comfy? Like, what is she
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. I'm like, what's going on?
Dude, when she
And then
started, she started doing angles, she started hitting him with the angles.
and then she turned to the side so he could get the full view. I was like, oh god.
Oh my gosh, that scene! I was just sitting on the couch, like, what's happening right now? Like, I was like, oh, she's just getting comfy, like in front of this guy, and then she started hitting him with
Yeah,
the angles, and I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. But when she was like, all right, I'm gonna turn this way, and he was like, all right, hold on. I was like, in front of the queen, in front of the queen, like. That's the payment you've been getting for 7 years,
yo, those must be some good looking feet
dude.
because he killed his father and his brother over it.
Over those feet. Yo, he taking out everybody in burning buildings for feet.
Kid.
And then I have to say too, like he is like the worst assassin because he sticks to the same thing, just burns everybody. He's like, I can handle it. Sets the house on
Yeah,
fire.
yeah, but oh god.
So, ladies and gentlemen, like this episode, crazy. Like Al's saying, the politics ran hard this episode, and it's not even a slow build. No, 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 no. It all just happens and you just feel it. And you may not understand it at first. You may have to take a second watch, but just
Mhm.
seeing the levels of just conspiracy against each other in this episode nuts. And so we start this episode with the death of the king. It's
Mhm.
official. The man has passed. And shout out to Patty Considine, I believe his name is. He's the actor for Viserys. Oh my
Yeah, he
gosh!
did a
Like
great job.
to hate this man from episode 1 and fall in love with him in episode 9 at his death because of what he did last episode. You hated this man for 8 episodes to be in so much appreciation of him in this episode. I was like, damn, that's good acting. Like that
Yeah.
was awesome. And so even from the jump, you know, we get the whispers that start happening. Somebody knows the king is dead. And now this little web of people that work for the hand are now spreading the rumor around that the king is dead. And so what do? They lock them all up. Nobody in King's Landing can know the king is dead. Not
Mhm.
until we're able to get Aegon on the throne. So how do we do
Yeah.
that? We got to find Aegon. Where's Aegon? Nobody knows. That was the perfect start to this episode. And it was
Yeah.
just like this from 5 minutes in, the just the whole threat of oh shit, I know what he wants. He just told me we gotta get Aegon on the throne now. And just
Yeah.
like the urgency, and just like you said, Al, we go right into like that council meeting, and they're talking about the succession, and everybody already had the plan to move Aegon into power, except for one person, and I don't know if he wasn't a maester. No, he was somebody
He was
else.
the no, he controlled the funny thing was he was the master of the coin, I think they call him.
Oh, master of coin. Okay,
Yeah, meaning he controlled the
he
money,
controlled the money.
but he didn't know that they were hiding money in all these different locations so that they can have a bankroll to do this.
That's why
How
they
well were you
said.
doing your job?
That's why they said Tyrion was the first master of coin to do his job. It took 200 years to have a good master of coin.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's crazy. The master of coin, and he fought for the king. He said that's not what he wanted. I know this man. And what happens? Kristen Cole, bah! Slams his head and murders this man because
Yeah.
he spoke out against his queen. Oh my gosh, Kristen
And
Cole.
and that was the one part I was going to have a problem with the episode, and I'm glad they played it out as well as they did because it like addressed my concern was the fact, and because even Aegon says it for 20 years, if Viserys had the chance to say no, I want Aegon to be king,
Hmm.
and supposedly in 20 years of insisting, nope, it's going to be Rhaenyra. 20 years, nope, it's going to be Rhaenyra. No, it's going to be Rhaenyra. All of a sudden, on his deathbed, he changes his mind. Like, and the only one that heard it
Is this
was
the queen?
the queen,
Yeah,
the mother of the like.
and I love that. I love that part. That was great the way they fleshed that out because it makes sense. Like if you told me if Hav decides he's going on a trip and I say to you, oh, Hav left me all his money in his car, so I'm going to drive around. You'd be like, what? I'm like, no,
Yeah,
no, Hav said it. Oh, but you can't call him because his phone is off right now. Like
yeah,
like what do you? Why would like and I can't even call the guy and ask him for proof. Like something I would never believe. Like like so it's
yeah.
like it's crazy. Like oh, the queen was the only person who heard it. Conveniently, on the night he died, he changed his mind. So
Mhm.
I love that they built off of that, and then to see uh, the the uh, the head of the King's Watch or the Night's Watch to just like pull out a sword. He goes, "I don't fuck with any of you."
Yeah,
He was like, "No,
yeah.
no, I work for the king, and until we have a king, I don't talk to any of you."
But I want to see if that's his way because, from what I understand, they've changed a couple of the ways things played out from in the book to how they're playing it out here.
Yeah,
So I want to see if he does that as a scheme to go and help Rhaenyra
I would
because
think so.
I got the vibe that he didn't agree with anything that was going on there,
Yeah,
and for him to like kind of back out by just simply saying, "I serve the king, and right now there is none." So like that was his way of getting out without them drawing suspicion that he didn't agree with what they
yeah.
were doing.
I fully agree with that because especially he was always a man of the king. I mean, from the first episode, he was the one escorting Rhaenyra to Cyrax and everything. And so,
Mhm.
I feel like that's exactly what's going on. Is that he is fully in with the choice of succession by the king, and so he's going to go retrieve his new king. I think that's exactly what's happening. So, that was crazy. And then from that point, it was we have to find Aegon and Otto Hightower, our hand, being all sneaky the way he is. He said, "Oh, I've got it. I'll find Aegon. Let me send my two best twins to go find Aegon inconspicuously." And so, what does Allison do immediately? She goes to Kristen Cole and says, "I need you to find Aegon." And I was like, that was crazy just to see how her father had led that meeting and he has been leading things all along in the court, you know, because he's the one who took the king's chair when he has meetings, not Alicent, the queen. And so you could see that he's been trying to run this kingdom. And it seems that it was apparent to her in this meeting that he was trying to take over his way. And so she set Kristen Cole and Aemon to go find Aegon. And that was a fun little trip, especially when they got to the brothel or the
Mhm.
fighting ring. I'm sorry, they got to the fighting ring, and these little silver-haired children were in there. There's a children fighting ring, by the way, which was a crazy thing, and it's in the books as well. This little fighting ring, and it's also insinuated that many of the children that have been in this fighting ring have belonged to Aegon. And
Mm.
so it was interesting to have that shot in there of the silver haired child and one of the twins being like, "Oh, this is fucked up. Like this is really fucked up."
Yeah.
Um, and I think one of the my favorite parts about this episode is actually the fact that Rhaenyra was not in it. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on having Rhaenyra completely absent from this episode, Al?
No, I liked it because it let us focus on the one side of the scheme. Like it let us see that even within the one side there was division. Because even the twins, Eric and Eric, when they're sent out,
Yeah, stupid
you
ass
could
names.
tell you could tell one of them wasn't in agreement with what was going on. Like, oh, is this really who we're going to put in as king and so forth? And it made you realize that even within this one side that's doing all this scheming, everybody that's on their side may not truly be on their side the full time.
Mm,
And it just makes it, and they were, by just focusing on the greens, as they call them, it allowed us to flush all of that out. Whereas I think if they tried to show both houses dealing with the news, it would have it wouldn't have allowed for this much to be drawn out. And it allows now for the next episode to be more that much more deeper, hopefully, from now Rhaenyra and the Black's side.
yeah.
To see how they now deal with the news. And then, yeah, I mean, because from the previews, that last episode looks crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, but I like the fact that they said, "Okay, shut the castle down," and they didn't let the news get out,
That
except
was
for the
crazy.
woman who put the. But I like the fact that the way they got the news out was the woman went to the window and lit the candles.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a cool way of saying, of letting it be known, okay, the king's dead.
Yeah. I thought that was good
You know,
too. And just like you said, Al, about allegiances, right at this point when everyone is looking for Aegon, we get a scene where Laris, our sneaky little perv, goes to visit Otto. And he tells Otto, he's like, "Hey, listen, I've been working with your daughter for a while now, but that doesn't mean I can't help you." And so it's very interesting now to see if Laris is going to be working both sides to get what he wants, or is if he's doing more for the queen, but trying to get on the hand's favor just so he can report more to the queen. So I don't know.
yeah.
Whoever's giving him some feet, I don't know. But we get this long, kind of drawn out search for Aegon. Aemon tries to put his stakes there, but Aemon also forgets how succession works. Aemon
Mhm.
thinks he's next in line for the throne, but that's not how that works. He's like, "I'm next in line." Like, no, no, you're not actually. It's not. not how that works, bro.
Oh man.
But we start to get the tension now between Aemon and his family because this kid thinks he deserves everything. And we finally find Aegon. He's being hidden by the White Worm, I believe she goes by, right?
Yeah.
He's hiding underneath a table and is yanked from underneath the table. And I thought that was the greatest thing. He wasn't just hiding in a room. He was not hiding. No, no, my man was hiding under a table for God knows what, so 10 hours?
Maybe. Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. But the man was hiding because he was afraid of taking over the succession. He had heard the news and he did not want to become king. It's not something he wants, no plan. And that's interesting given his title that he's going to be receiving is,
Hmm.
he has no want for the throne. He's afraid of it, terrified. And you get that as he's being dragged back to the kingdom. And it's funny the whole fight between Arik and Eric and Aemon and Kristen Cole,
Hmm.
and just Aemon just fighting his brother, saying, "No, no, no, you're coming back to be the king, motherfucker," because he's like, "You don't get a choice right now." And
Yeah.
so I thought that was very interesting when they brought him back, and just to have him sit with his mother and just start like bawling and just being so babyish to being the big guy who rapes all of these women and has all these kids, and just to be this man, and he's whimpering to his mother because this is something he never wanted, and he also felt unloved by his father. And just like you said, Al, earlier, he's like, my father had 20 years to name me the king, and he never so much as told me he loved me, and
Hmm.
today I'm supposed to become king. And you're like, do you even love me, mom? And so that was very interesting.
Hmm.
And on the same side, you get Rhaenys, who has been in this castle since this trial that Rhaenyra had, and Eric has a switch of, was it Eric or Arik that had the switch of minds?
I think Eric.
Eric, right? So Eric decides this shit is crazy, and they're gonna gut her too, because everyone is down in the Red Keep, swearing their allegiance to the new king, and if they don't swear their allegiance to the new king, they are either getting gutted, like the one guy was hung,
Yeah.
or they're gonna be made to force their allegiance. And that was a crazy scene too, was having everyone there and like, listen, this hasn't happened yet, and I don't give a shit how you feel about Rhaenyra. You got to swear your fealty to the king right now. And it's like that was crazy. And so Eric's like, we got to get this lady out of here because they're gonna get her too.
Hmm.
And so all of this is happening in the span of what, a couple hours,
Yeah.
and so he tries to sneak her out, and they pass the guy who was hanged earlier, um and as they start trying to get her out of the city, they start having the meeting in the Red Keep to announce the new king, so she gets pulled back in, and she just kind of willingly goes with it because it brings her back to the dragon pit. And
Yeah.
so, she goes, and we have this declaration of our new king, Aegon the Third, who is Aegon the Conqueror, right? The boy king who didn't want to be. And yeah, the whole coronation was very interesting, and I love the shot that they did of the Red Keep,
Yeah.
and having everyone there to see it, and just showing off this now coronation of King Aegon the Third, and then out of nowhere, mayhem. Al, what was your take when Melise the dragon came in?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was going to go down, but as much as like, I thought she was going to burn them at first, and then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, the show would be over right now.
Yeah, we done episode 9.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, so she's not going to do it. I just want to know what's her rationale. So I'm like, even till today, I'm like, I keep giving her different reasons why she didn't burn them,
Yeah.
because like she had to know she was minutes from being killed
Mm-hmm.
in order to keep, if she didn't say that she was going to side with them, she was dead. And here you are having to break yourself out and you show mercy. So I'm trying to understand this. what was her rationale, because from the preview it looks like she's siding with Rhaenyra
Yeah.
in the next episode. So if you go run, if your whole intention is to run and tell Rhaenyra what's happened here, and you're going to side with her in what you know will be ultimately a war between the two sides, why not win that war now?
I
Because
think,
you know this is going to lead to a war,
yeah.
and so win it now. You've
I,
already picked your side, so win it now for your side.
I felt like it was a very much like a game recognizes game kind of moment. Whereas earlier in the episode, Rhaenys had met with Allison. And she told Allison, she's like, listen, she goes, you have let men run you your entire life. Your father, your husband, your sons, you know? And so she has let this all happen. And so it seemed like Rhaenys was like, listen, you can run this. You can be the queen. You can step up and be the person. And I guess that was the moment she was trying to like see and say, okay, I'm giving you this little chance here. You can turn it around right here, or we're going to war when when Rhaenyra gets back. You know, like it just seemed like she was giving her that moment to say, you now have a choice to make. I could have
Mhm.
killed you right here, but you have a choice you can make. And
Yeah.
so I think that was what that moment was. But damn, she took out like mad people from King's Landing. Like no one important. She just took out everybody else.
Yeah, all the people that would have been supporting them, the royalty,
Yeah.
they died.
But you know what?
But
Fuck them because they clapped. Fuck you for supporting this kid.
man, but and it just made me feel like like I was saying earlier, everybody knew that's not who was supposed to be king,
Yeah.
but they still went with it right away, no questions asked. Like you didn't hear anybody, not one boo.
No.
Like they didn't like it make it seem like the crowd argued against it. So it just showed that one, they were just happy that it was going to be a male king,
Yeah.
instead of there being a queen, and how easily people will just be led,
Yeah.
you know, like they will take whatever somebody tells them and run with it because it's easier to follow, I guess,
Yeah. And did
So
you get that last jab at Viserys? King Viserys the Peaceful. That's his title. I was like,
yeah,
dang. I mean, I guess it's better than the Queen who never was. You know, like.
yeah,
But I was like, that was the one last jab at him being King
yeah,
Viserys the Peaceful. So that was nuts, and like what a setup for the next episode, which looks like we are getting the declaration of war next episode,
mhm,
and we are officially getting this dance of dragons that's going to happen.
yeah, yeah. Do you think next week is going to be they'll incorporate? See, sometimes when you read these reviews and analysis of the episodes, you find out stuff that you didn't want to find out.
Mm,
So I somehow found out that there is an upcoming conflict between Amon and the nephew
L-
that cut his eye.
Lucerys, yeah.
So as the two sides start drumming up support, they both meet up at one house's property, and then on upon leaving, there's a conversation that takes place, so to speak. And do you think that's going to be in next week's episode? Because that's a pivotal scene, I would imagine.
I feel like it would be a great way to end this season.
Like, you think that'll be how what they end on
I feel like that's a way to end on because given the source text, there is a lot that is going to go down. And
because of that? Yeah.
because of this and because of everything else that builds off of it, it just like that's why like obviously they can't be at war every episode. There has to be politics and stuff. But the way the book demonstrates everything, it just like these moments are all leading into those big moments like that right there. It's gonna be
Hmm.
huge. And from
Yeah.
that point, just I feel like that's what we're gonna end on. to allow next season to be like, oh shit, what are we getting next season?
Yeah. If they end on that, it will. Yeah, that would be a good cliffhanger to leave on.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's exactly where we're going. I thought the same thing. Like, if there was any way to propel season two, boom. Like, to
Wow.
just let you know the conflict of what's coming, that's how we end it. But
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, ladies and gentlemen. The season finale of House of Dragons is this upcoming Sunday. I mean, we are gonna also do. Finally, we got a movie, so we're gonna go see Black Adam on Thursday. It's been
Nice.
forever. Me and Javi were just talking about it. The last thing we saw was, I think, what was it? The Beast. That was the one with Idris Elba and the Lion. That was the last movie
Okay.
that we had saw in theaters. And we've been trying to go see Smile. And ladies and gentlemen, like we said, like, life is getting in the way, and we're trying to do our thing. But man, like, it's cool to go back to the theaters this Thursday. We're gonna see Black Adam. And a month from now, we got Black Panther. Not even a month, like 3 more weeks, really. We
Yeah.
have Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. We got the season finale of House of Dragons this Sunday. Like, we are ushering a new year. So I'm excited for that. You
Yeah.
guys let us know in the comments how you felt about this episode of Game of Thrones, and do you think Larys is a creep for doing his thing
Oh, jeez.
for 7 years to the princess and queen's feet?
Well, how about her for doing it? Like,
And she was open. This is something we're just doing now. Like, this has been his payment for 7 years. Hit him with the
yeah.
angles. Mm. Pinky toe first. So you guys let us know what you think in the comments about what's to come. If you've read the book, then you know the conversation Al is talking about. And damn, if you think that's going to happen or not. And I don't know. Let us know what you think. And hopefully we get some crazy nonsense. And we hope that Black Adam is good. I need DC to do something.
Well, I'm already enjoying the news of what I hear is supposed to be happening at the post-credit scene. So even if the
Yeah.
movie sucks, I'm sticking around waiting just for that.
Oh yeah, shout out to Dwayne the Rock Johnson for continuously to spoil his own movie the last week. I think we all know what the end credit is now, whether that's true or
Hmm.
not. And from what I'm hearing, it's true.
Yeah.
And it's a way to advertise, I guess. Like, if that isn't something of concern, though, if you have to advertise that for people to see your movie, like, I'm a little concerned, but hey, listen,
It's,
I need DC to have a win. So
mhm.
let's see something here.
It's making me go regardless. Yep.
Yeah. Like, I'm hoping for a win here, considering what I hear has been changed a little bit, about this new reveal. So I'm hoping,
Okay.
I'm happy.
Nice.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it off there for tonight. Like I said, we're going to have a review next week of House of the Dragon season finale and a review of Black Adam. And we hope we have good things to say. I know we will about House of the Dragon, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, signing off, you got me, your boy B. You got your man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And hopefully we'll catch Hav. And I'd love to see Sanj again. If we got to catch him on a night that's not busy, So
Well,
if we can get all four of us back, man, oh, I'd love to see that. So,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, make sure you turn on your notifications for your YouTube and your podcast, and I hope you watch and listen to us on whatever your favorite way, podcasting or YouTube, to listen to us. And with that, we'll catch you on the next one. Until next time.